According to the tabs on the top right, we are now going live to the Oddies channel. They will have missed the first 3 minutes and 10 seconds of the show. Very sorry, Oddies, about that. I know you've missed all the good stuff.
You're going to have to delete yours too, unfortunately.
Okay, so I'm actually having a look here. Oh, wow. Yes. No, it's all bad. It's all
what has
bad.
happened? StreamYard has done us dirty.
So when you went live vertical. You didn't.
I did nothing.
Well, when you set it up, you needed to adjust the aspect ratio. So,
do we select yours?
Well, hang on. I'm going to go across. I'll mute it because otherwise we'll have audio issues. You mute that. Okay, so I'm looking at it on YouTube and it's fine.
Okay, you're looking at your channel on YouTube?
I'm looking at my channel on YouTube and it's fine. It's about 10 seconds delayed. That's about it. So can I say to everybody who is stuck with vertical, look for your settings. Maybe. Well, look for your settings because on mine it's okay.
You have two going. You have a horizontal and a vertical going at the same time.
It seems that way. So whatever StreamYard has done, whatever this update is, one, they didn't communicate it very well, and two, it is an absolute mess.
Yeah, so this is a new update. We just got it today, guys. So I don't know what's going on in their end, but it's a kerfuffle.
So it is a kerfuffle. It is a fustercluck, as they say. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to share my screen just as proof of life. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share this one. Share.
Why would they offer vertical for YouTube? That's weird.
Okay, so if I go here, that is what I'm seeing. So I'm going to wave my hands, and in a few seconds, you'll see me wave my hands. That is what I'm seeing when I go to YouTube. It is correctly horizontal.
It's YouTube Inception.
Yes, we are going slowly deeper and deeper into Inception. So I'm sorry, guys, who are getting the vertical. I don't know. I don't know how to fix that. Okay, if you can.
But if you go to Topher's, if you go to Topher's channel, the horizontal one is there as well. So apologies, guys.
The Oddcast HQ. Let me go to the Oddcast. Yeah.
It's another reason for us to leave StreamYard, is it?
So the Oddcast live, the Oddcast HQ one is also horizontal.
So that's working. Okay.
Yeah. So guys, if you're stuck in vertical, it is a setting at your end. However, the comment, someone saying we need to move over to OBS, you're probably not wrong. This is probably the last straw. We were already talking about moving, and I think this is kind of the last straw. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. We were on our last legs with StreamYard. It's a bit of a, and you pay a lot for it. Like, this platform's not cheap either, which is ridiculous. So
yeah, we're paying a lot of money. Okay, good news. The wife just helped me to get the horizontal. This isn't something that I would normally say to people, but could you lend your wife to everybody else?
Are you frozen?
Hey, am I frozen?
Toph is frozen. What is happening?
I'm not frozen. I'm fine.
Wow, this is a great show. I hope you're all enjoying this. Oh, are you back?
I never left.
You went frozen.
Nah.
Okay.
So people are saying that it's fine, it's better, all normal. Lots of people are saying there's no issues.
All right.
So
okay.
Yeah.
We will make
Riot is on my side. I was never frozen. Thank you very much.
Okay. You should be frozen, so I don't have to look at you.
Yeah.
So, a little bit of housekeeping now that the bloody tech issues are somewhat solved. Someone's blaming the Mac. This has got nothing to do with my Mac. Thank you. This is all StreamYard today. Thank you. We have a Discord server. We have an OG Oddies, or we've got an Oddies Discord server.
Is this the time to be adding additional technical complication? Are we not struggling? Are we not struggling and failing enough without adding to the level of difficulty?
Lynette, you need to get off the video and reload it. So if you're still having issues, guys, close your video down, jump back into it. If that's your issue, you just need to refresh it. So yeah, everything's working otherwise. So we'll eventually get to the show.
Yeah, there's lots of people having issues. I'm sorry. Yeah, I hear you. I can't fix it.
If you can't see our faces, you're on the vertical stream. You need to get off that. Go to the channel. You'll see the horizontal stream. It's there. We can't do anything about the vertical. This is a StreamYard thing. There's nothing we can do about it. So log out, go back into the video, and it should be fine.
Yeah, this is something that I'm sorry, guys. So we will now make it a priority to get away from StreamYard and go to OBS. And hopefully not have any of the issues we've been having in the past and these new issues that they just keep inventing. Every week, it's like they invent a new problem.
They're like, oh, we invented a new thing that you didn't ask for that we're going to give you. Why would you want to go
and it's now going to
YouTube?
Completely stuff everything up. Mind you, being able to see only a limited amount of my head is probably a bonus, not a bad thing.
Be fair.
And speaking, okay. Okay, so you notice I'm wearing the old school merch.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to confess this week's been difficult. I'm having a crisis. There's no other way to say it. I'm in crisis, as my little name would suggest. Because I love what we did with this merch, Carly, and you do too, right? Now this is one of the new products that's coming out, but it's one of the OG designs, right? It's one of the OG designs. Too much 1984, not enough 1776. Like it's just really good. And here's the thing, Carly, there's a curveball. There's something that you didn't see coming. And to be honest, neither did I. And I'm still coming to terms with it. But when you designed my new look, which is not this, obviously, none of us had any idea that just around the corner was this.
You look like God from Wayne's World.
I wear glasses now.
Wow.
I'm officially the age of old. And
you need to bring them down on your bridge just a little bit, just so you can look over them.
So I can despise you appropriately over the top of my glasses.
Just look over them a bit more. Yeah.
That does feel superior. Although the cap does leave you with a very limited range of motion here. It's kind of you got to get under the cap but over the glasses. That's quite challenging. No, I actually have to now I have to wear glasses when I read and when I work on the laptop screen. Yeah. Otherwise I end up with really bad headaches. That's why I've had a string of really bad headaches these last couple of months.
It's old age, mate. Comes for us all.
I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know how I feel.
Do you want me to be honest or do you want me to be nice?
Probably not in this moment. No, like let's leave the honesty. Let's leave the honesty behind. It just.
I'll be nice. It's nice or honest. You don't get both. So my nice comment is, you look good.
Thanks. I know that's not honest, but thank you anyway. I appreciate it. But I am a bit sad.
Drive.
Oh.
My house is like a Topher field dumping ground.
You've built a shrine. You've built a shrine to me. You've just got Topher stuff everywhere, all over your house.
It's taking over my house.
Wave them around. Show me. All right, so these are the thank you cards that are going to go in with all the new orders.
That Topher now has to sign 1,000 of.
I'm going to hand sign every single one of those.
Yeah,
every single one of those will be hand signed by me, and you will get them. That's amazing.
They look good.
Yeah, they do. They look fantastic. Now, what I'm also going to do, though, because we get accused of being grifters, but we really suck as grifters. Like, honestly, we are the worst. So let me grift. Let me actually do this for a change. Because
everyone's saying, why aren't you using auto pen?
All right, well played. So we have 5 designs that are being discontinued. And some of these are the OG Topher designs that Carly, you had a hand in. Others are ones that evolved since then. So the OG ones are actually my 2 favorites. Too Much 1984, Not Enough 1776. That will exist in other designs, but that original design with the camera where it is and all of that, that's gone, and it's gone forever. So that's going at the end of November. Then the Don't Make Me Repeat Myself history quote, That's been evolved. You guys have seen the new one that Carly made up. It looks fantastic. But honestly, I've got a really big soft spot for this one. It's kind of bold. It speaks for itself. People have burst out laughing just from reading the shirt, because at first it seems really confrontational, and then they read who the quote is from, and then their brain puts it together, and yeah, it's great. Net Zero, I did that as a campaign against net zero. It looks like we've probably turned the tide on that campaign. But it's still a great shirt, a great conversation starter. Then there was this attempt at a more funky. All right, we'll get to that, Arthur. There are more funky good people break bad laws, and also in the top left, you can't really see it there, but the 832, the truth will set you free. These 5 designs are all being discontinued. So if you want to get one, you need to go to goodpeoplebreakbadlaws.com and get them, well, between now and the end of November. But there's no reason not to open up another tab and get them right now as we go. Get some Oddcast merch while you're there, because that's going to go temporarily unavailable as well. All the Oddcast stuff, if you're an Oddie and you want the OG Oddie stuff, it's going to go temporarily. That will come back, but it will be temporarily unavailable until sometime next year. So make sure you get some of that while you're there. All right. I don't understand the 1776 one. Excellent. So Too Much 1984, that's a reference to the book 1984, which I tend to have lying around on my very messy desk at all times. 1984, the book. 1776 is a reference to the American Revolution, the Declaration of Independence. And so we got too much 1984, surveillance, control, all the rest of it. Not enough independence, not enough people standing up for themselves. So that's when Topher was born. Why would you say such a cruel thing? Why would you say this?
Good times. So
yeah,
back to housekeeping. Well done. Thank you for grifting. Anything else you need to add?
Rate my grift. Like, was it good?
It was all right.
Yeah,
it was all right.
Good. Appreciate it.
Okay, so for those of you who have been stressed in the chat, we have I didn't. G created a Discord. We're going to have an Oddcast Discord, or you do have it. And what we're doing is adding everyone into it. So if you go to the Oddcast video on YouTube right now, there is a link in the description box. You can click on that. But we will be sending the link out to everyone who is an OG Oddie. So if you're on Ko-fi and you've signed up as an OG Oddie, what it means is in the Discord, there is a general Discord. So anyone can join the general, and that's just general chit chat. When you're an Oddie, at the back end, you have all the other channels. So there's Australian politics, there's international politics, there's G's car chat, which is going off. There's the meme channel. There's a geek talk channel. To be honest, like, it has been popping off all day. You guys are busy in there. I don't know how you get your work done, but you are all welcome to join. If you're not familiar with Discord, don't stress. It's very simple. You can download the app on both Android and PC. You can use it on your desktop. And it's just a really nice way for you guys to be able to talk to each other, because the problem with obviously the chats is unless we're going live or we have a video, you guys can't chat to each other. So this is just a way for you guys to all meet. And we have some big ambitions for the Discord. So we've created a business share page. So any business that you know that you can recommend, or if you're a small business and you support all the values of the Oddcast and Topher and me, then we're willing to give you guys that platform to share it. So there's all these different things that we're going to do. So if you guys want to join the Discord, you're most welcome to. Everyone's invited to the general, but if you're OG Oddie, you get access to all the extra chats.
And in answer to your question, Koala Blues, absolutely not. We will not be stopping YouTube.
No.
We'll not be stopping the live stream.
Discord is not videos. We're not streaming on Discord.
Honestly, Discord is actually more for you guys than what it is for us. The Oddcast will continue. Normal programming will continue. This is really just a place where you guys get to catch up and hang out and have fun. I love this. Melissa says, I mistakenly had my Discord notifications on. I'm guessing, Melissa, that your phone had a meltdown. Now, that's because, insert username, I can't find the link. That's because I just checked, Carly. It's not there. So
I did set it up.
Link,
Hang on.
That link so can we drop it in the comments?
You re-added us, remember?
We just had to remake it. Okay, but what about...
Hang on, I'm getting it now.
What would people search for? Because if they're on Discord, they can just search.
You can't search for it because you can't. So anything under 1,000 members, you can't search for. So let me just get it. Hang on a minute. Oh, Lord.
I'll tell you what, technology is, we need to be able to make enough money doing this to employ G as our full-time technologist. It's like all of our problems, we just go, G, fix this.
Speaking of IT, I have almost broken my computer about 7 times today. Just building a website, and we're not having a lot of fun, but it's fine. We're white knuckling our way through. So,
I'm
guys,
hearing a whole lot of whinging in Mac. That's all I'm hearing.
No. It's about outside my pay grade, but that's fine. I'm learning. I'm learning. All right. I just posted it in the comments. I don't know if you can click that. I don't know if it's a clickable link, but you should be able to like copy and post it. I don't know.
And paste, yeah.
I will put it in the comments once the live has finished. Please, no more editing whilst we're live. I will do it afterwards. All right. Bear with me.
Gonna smash through a couple of super chats, and then we need to get into some topics because we are trying. We've heard your feedback, everybody. You want us to talk about topics a little bit earlier in the show, so we're going to try and do that. But CJ Westman says, I'm driving down to Gippsland tonight, so listening and not commenting. I breathed a sigh of relief that the potholes are mostly still there. For a while, I was afraid Labor and the outlaw bikie gangs running the CFMEU had stopped rinsing the public coffers. No, there's no fear of that, CJ. And of course, with the news that the Liberal Party have decided to continue the infighting, then I think the Labor Party have probably just breathed a sigh of relief and said, oh, good, it's going to be business as usual for at least one more election.
Well, so did you see, let's start with the potholes. So did you see just last week, Tim Richardson came out saying, Sonia Terpstra, she's a Victorian MP. She came out saying that there are no potholes. I drove that road and I didn't see any. There was no contact. Did you see this? Have I showed this on the Oddcast yet?
No, I have not seen this. How you could do that when there is literally video of 20-odd cars parked on the side of the road and an enormous gaping pothole. I've literally stopped randomly and taken pictures of potholes and posted them on social media. How can you say there aren't potholes?
Well, so Tim Richardson, who's another one, this Sonia Terpstra chick and whatever, they are just openly gaslighting us now. This is literally the Emperor's new clothes. So I'm going to add the video and we'll watch this because this is a great one. This is where your taxpayer money is going, friends. Let me just refresh it.
One of the most obvious examples of why this government needs to go. This is it.
In regard to the video that Jackie Felgate posted, what I saw was like there was cars pulled over on the side of the road. I didn't actually see any potholes on the road. I was waiting to see what it was that caused these people to pull over. And in fact, I went and drove on that road the other week. I didn't see any of the stuff that you report about or that Jackie Felgate reported about.
The literal denial of potholes. All of us are lying. All of these potholes and the condition of our roads. All just a Facebook conspiracy, as the member, Sonia Terpstra, suggests.
Anything that gets talked about in this house all of a sudden ends up on social media with grabs from 3AW or Jackie Felgate or whatever. The echo chamber and the creation of fake Facebook groups and all of it, just so we can get the rage bait going and the social media outrage.
To describe literal holes in the ground as social media outrage and rage bait. Fake Facebook groups. The video doesn't lie, Sonia, and nor do the people of Victoria who drive on these roads and who pay you. And I just think this kind of exchange.
All right, so I've showed you that. Now I'm going to go to Jackie's actual page because she posted this today. And look, as someone who's not a big fan of Jackie Felgate, she's growing on me a little bit because she's going hard. So where are we? So Jackie posted this. This is Nanagoon. This is the road where all those cars were pulled over. Yeah. Coincidentally, for a road that didn't have a pothole, there sure is a lot of construction going on. Would you not agree? And this is Red Hill, more pothole repairs. So why are they repairing imaginary potholes? Well, I don't know.
It's because they're council workers. They only do imaginary work. So it actually makes perfect sense.
So that's the first one, the potholes shenanigans. So I put up a little video on the weekend just saying, guys, let's give Sonia a little taste of her medicine. And I asked everyone to go film their local potholes and send them to me or tag me in them. And I am being inundated with potholes. So also in the Discord server, there's a little channel, just share your potholes. So I'm going to create a little compilation.
Just
and
mental
I
note.
am going to
be glad you asked for potholes, not rosebuds. Okay, I'm just saying, if you're going to get inundated with pictures of something, potholes is a pretty good option.
Do you know what annoys me? is that you say things like that, and then Roy, who will edit this podcast, will deliberately clip your bit out. So anything that sounds like degenerate sounds like it comes from me, when it was you that brought it up first.
Yeah. And, you know, the beautiful thing is that's what happens when you're the person that pays the editor. You know, it's just, it's like, it's magic. It's amazing. It's okay.
Oh.
One day you'll be able to afford an editor of your own, you know?
Oh, okay. Well, so we've gone from potholes. I have got so many good ones, but I thought we'd kick off with a bang because this has just happened. Well, a lot of things. So, do you know what's funny is on a Sunday night, G and I'll sit there and go, hey, what's happened? What should we bring up on Monday night's podcast? And we sort of collate the news stories. So when we're looking through X, Instagram, whatever, we just save things and then we sort of go back and have a look. And I found myself last night going, well, I haven't really been paying attention to the news the last 2 days, but I didn't think there was much happening. Anyway, wake up this morning, refresh my Instagram, boom, story. So we're never without things to talk about. But this one has to be my favorite because I'm just going to say, who could have seen this coming? It's very concerning to me, and I don't know about you, but I'm truly shocked. So let me just pull it up for you guys.
I'm in suspense here now.
I've got so many tabs open. All right, here it is.
She's got to wade through all of the Merkins ads to find the actual content.
There we go.
Oh,
the First People's Assembly, our new treaty, our new Indigenous Council, thanks to the treaty, has opposed the Premier's hardline youth crime laws in their first test after they've just done a huge land grab of the whole of metropolitan Melbourne.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. This is delicious because this is exactly what you and I and so many others have been predicting. This is the ranking problem. They've created a massive ranking problem, and these people play for keeps. These are, your First Nations Assembly, your First People's Assembly. These people have been working for a decade or more towards a position where they could be more equal than everybody else. They're finally getting that opportunity. They are not going to back off. They're not going to walk away from this. This is going to be delicious. We're going to be watching these people tying themselves in knots. It's a little bit like when the trans agenda kind of came over the top of feminism, and we watched this whole movement fracture. And it looked for a few years like it was winning, but we're watching that whole thing destroy itself now. It's going to be the same thing here. How do you get anything done in the real world where it makes real world benefits and makes a real world difference when you have a racially biased, racially motivated group sabotaging everything from within, and a group that you said for decades couldn't be criticized? It's perfect.
Well, this is it's a tricky one for this government because you've got a couple of issues here. one, you've got the treaty, who apparently deserve this, and they needed that, even though Australia voted no in a referendum that cost us $500 million. But that's, that small change to Jacinta. She's known to blow out all of her projects by a few billion. So what's $500 million? I mean, we wasted that on the Commonwealth Games that we didn't get to host. So But what I find quite interesting to sort of unfold here is we have got a crime crisis, and evidently it's getting so bad. I've got to share a story to share with you in a second. How do you tell all of your constituents who are currently having their homes invaded, they're getting cut up by machetes, their children are being murdered, we now have machine guns, more on that in a minute, and tell them that unfortunately, dear 5 million Victorians, your concerns are no longer valid because we have this unelected bunch of bureaucrats who I've signed in via treaty who call the shots. So you're just going to have to sit back in the name of equality and reparations and reconciliation and all the other things that they wanted. You need to get stabbed by some machetes. You will have your home invaded because treaty trumps all.
And what's concerning to me, I don't disagree with any of what you've just said. What's concerning to me is that we may have crossed a threshold where this cannot be undone without kind of burning the whole system down in the first place. We're approaching, we may have reached, but we're certainly approaching a point where that Gordian knot can no longer be undone. It simply has to be slashed. And if all of this comes from activist judges who have waved through all kinds of nonsense, up to and including at times the very High Court of Australia, there is no higher power, barring the Australian people themselves. We may have reached a point where the only way to deal with this is actually through constitutional amendments that actually explicitly spell out the rules around a bunch of this stuff. You can't have different rules for people based on their race. You can't have different rules for people based on when their race allegedly reached the continent. We may have reached the point where the only way to undo this is with constitutional amendments, which is 1, very difficult, and 2, very slow, and 3, fraught with danger. Because if there are constitutional amendments on the table, there are going to be people in there trying to fiddle with them to try and work their own agenda. There will be people who try and use those amendments to further all of these agendas. We are approaching, if not already have reached a point where political business as usual, dealing in legislation, dealing in court decisions, may not actually be enough to fix these problems, and we have to go higher, which is necessary but also dangerous.
Can I just bring this back up? I want to read a line from this. So, under the historic treaty laws, the new entity will replace the Assembly next year. Every new bill will now require a report of compatibility with the treaty before it comes into effect. The body will also have a direct line to the Attorney General's office and will be able to heavily lobby to have the youth justice laws amended when it comes to Indigenous youths, meaning if the laws are not passed before the new body comes into effect, it is very likely they would be heavily watered down in relation to the Indigenous offenders to be given the tick of approval. So they have been, they have an expanded and powerful consultative and oversight ability spanning across a swathe of departments, including justice. How utterly outrageous.
Carls?
Yeah.
Do you have your Discord open?
Is
it beeping?
Yes. Why are you in Discord? Get out. You're meant to be on the chat.
Could you shut it up, please?
Yes, I have shut it up.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Why are you in Discord? Naughty children.
I love that these guys can diagnose internet issues from the other end of a live stream down to the specific tab on the specific person's computer. It is amazing.
Yeah, they know the noise. But so back to this treaty thing. What I think has sort of missed most Victorians when this vote was voted in is just how much power these people have. So as I always do, I read the comments, and I've been reading a lot of what's been said on the ABC, what's been said on Channel 10, Channel 7, whatever. And so many of these bleeding heart liberals, the suicidal empathy type, are cheering this on. This is a great thing. This is what we need. And then at the very first test, something that we all know is now a genuine problem. This is no longer hyperbole. And as much as, Tim Richardson or Sonia Terpstra or whoever these horrible MPs are who are trying to gaslight us and downplay it, unfortunately, there are very few people in Victoria who are untouched by this crime crisis.
Sure.
The very first time that we're going to try and have some legislation that greatly impacts the whole of the state, these selfish Aboriginal bodies are going to say, no, that's not what we want. Yeah. They are unelected. We did not vote for them. Allegedly, we live in a democracy, but apparently not, because we did have the vote on it, yet that didn't matter to this government. They voted it in without our authority, and now we're all going to suffer the consequences.
Yeah. And it's unfortunately going to get worse. I was hopeful that a rising Liberal Party could potentially turn the screws on the Labor Party, and that we would see a situation where they might have to actually pull their socks up. We saw a whole bunch of announcements from Jacinta Allen. She's going to get tough on this and that. We've heard that before. We still haven't seen it actually flow through into legislation, let alone into actual results. We're simultaneously hearing the prisons are full, but also that they have entire prisons that are empty and aren't being used at all. We're hearing that they're going to have the toughest bail laws, but they have no room in their prisons for juvenile offenders to keep in custody. We're hearing all kinds of conflicting information nonstop, and the only solution to my mind was to have a rising opposition that could make them pull their socks up, make them realize that they were under threat. This is the problem of the one-party state. I've talked about this before. Victoria became a one-party state in 2014. Really, it sort of became a one-party state after the fall of Jeff Kennett, but really since 2014, Victoria has been a resolute one-party state, and that creates really bad, perverse incentives for politics. That's what the outworking of that is what we're seeing now in Victoria. The only solution, in my view, is to have a viable opposition. And what have they done to themselves this week? Well, actually, literally in the last 24 hours, they've pulled the rug out from probably one of the few people that might actually be able to pull this off and actually mount a challenge. So Brad Batten is to face a leadership spill. Jess Wilson is likely to challenge. If you're saying who, you're not alone. She's 35 years old. She's a first-term MP. And this reeks of John Pizzuto. So I did a number of pieces on John Pizzuto before he was finally ousted as the Liberal Party leader. He was parachuted in and became leader of the Liberal Party in his first term, having never held a ministerial position, right? And that was the problem. He had no idea what he was doing. He didn't understand the game. He didn't understand the processes. He couldn't land a blow on to the government that he was supposedly opposing. He didn't have the experience. And unfortunately, Jess Wilson, I know very little about her. She might make a fabulous future leader, but a 35-year-old in their first term of parliament is the Liberal Party repeating a previous mistake, not to mention the goodwill that is lost every time you have these kinds of internal party factions and these internal sort of party roilings. Now, I want to bring up a picture here because this is why they've done it. This right here is the catalyst for why they're saying we need to do this. This is I don't actually remember who did this poll, but this is a fairly large poll that looked at who are you going to vote for, basically. And it has a demographic split and all kinds of other stuff. So the combined split here is ALP 33%, Liberal National Party, ALP 30%, Liberal National Party 33%. So actually ahead, what swings it is that the Greens pick up such an enormous percentage. And of course, Greens overwhelmingly preference Labor. So on a two-party preferred basis, Labor are well ahead. But have a look at the lines on the right-hand side rather than the horizontal bar graph. Have a look at the line graph on the right-hand side. Notice the black other line. Notice what it did, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9 months ago. And at the same time, notice what happened to the Liberals.
Yeah.
Notice what happened to the other independents. Okay.
Yeah.
So what that other line is, that is made up in no small part, that is made up of One Nation. Now, they don't want to break that out individually, of course, because that would be giving credit where it's due. Federally, One Nation just hit 18%, up from 15% 2 odd weeks ago. One Nation might, and I'm not making this as a prediction, I'm just saying, looking at the data now, we might be seeing the beginnings of a reform-style surge in One Nation.
I agree.
What the Liberal Party are actually doing here, and I've got the receipts to prove it, I'll come to that in a second. What the Liberal Party are actually doing here is not trying to defeat Labor. They are reacting to and trying to ward off the threat of One Nation.
Yeah. Do you know what? Every time I see these politicians speaking, it doesn't matter if it's Labor or Liberal, they are so disconnected from what the voters actually want. I mean, Jacinta thinks that treaty was what we wanted, even though the referendum said we unequivocally did not. She thinks that we want the suburban rail loop, that we're excited that the Metro Tunnel was, not the Metro Tunnel, the Westgate Tunnel was able to have a bit of a fun run on it on the weekend. You know, you have a look at what's happening right now. Two things. We have a housing crisis. We have a cost of living crisis. And we have an energy crisis, but that's more federal.
That's federal. Yeah.
And we also have a youth crime crisis or crime crisis in general. Where are any of the politicians, apart from a couple of, people on the fringe speaking about this? Why is this not their campaign issue? Why is Brad Batten not out? To be fair, he's done a little bit, but nowhere near what he should be doing. He should be holding Jacinta's tail to the fire with this and be unrelenting. Go, go, go. Every time she says something, slam it back in her face, you know?
So The Age actually did a good piece of journalism here, and that's not a sentence I use very often, but I'd actually like to bring up, and I know we've got a lot to talk about, but I want to spend a little bit of time on this because this is so important. The future of Victoria is so important, and what is happening right now with the Liberal Party is so important, in my opinion. So The Age have published this article, Brad Batten's leadership in doubt as challengers prepare to strike. It talks about the fact that he'll face a leadership challenge. Sources from across the party said that he's losing support amongst the moderates, which is code usually for the more left-wing side of things. They don't actually mean moderates when they say moderate. And it's all going to happen really quickly. They say, it took a bit of convincing for Jess to put up her hand. Of course it did. But now she's sacrificially put up her hand and she's going to challenge Brad Batten for the leadership. Now, down in the middle of the article, the truth is always in the middle of the article. It's never in the headline. It's never in the opening paragraph. In the middle of the article, if Wilson is successful, she would become the third Liberal leader within 11 months and the first woman to lead the Victorian Liberal Party since the state division was founded 71 years ago. So notice already we're getting the what's it called? The totem pole, the ranking. A successful spill would open Sam Groth's position as deputy leader. Now, just where was it? Okay. The possible elevation of Wilson, a 35-year-old first-term parliamentarian who previously served as an advisor to the former federal treasurer Josh Frydenberg, who was a wet as well, like remember how useless he was, and as a director of policy at the Business Council of Australia, also pretty wet, would significantly alter the competitive dynamic with Premier Jacinta Allen and create a head-to-head contest between two women vying to become the first to win a state election in Victoria. So this is what this is actually about. I'm so sick of it. Okay, so this is what this is actually about. So Joan Kirner was the first female Victorian premier, but she stabbed John Cain in the back. It was very much like Daniel Andrews to Jacinta Allen. John Cain left the state in an absolute mess. The finances were terrible. Crime was out of control. Corruption was out of control. He got stabbed in the back by a woman. Now, Joan Kirner thought, aha, my time has come. What actually happened was they threw her under the bus. They knew they weren't going to win the following election, and they wanted her to take the fall rather than one of them because they were too politically savvy to do that. I think a similar thing was supposed to have been done to Jacinta Allen. They didn't elevate her because they thought she was the best for the job. The men stepped out of the way because they saw what was coming at the next election. So there has still never been an elected in an election female premier for Victoria. We've had two female premiers. Neither of them were actually elected as the premier. But it goes on. It says that others warn that the transaction cost of another leadership spill is too high. I mentioned that already. But this is the rationale. This is how they're trying to explain why Brad Batten wasn't the guy. Batten's leadership was widely considered terminal after a reshuffle of his shadow cabinet last month that sought to stall Wilson's leadership ambitions. So in other words, there was a leadership shuffle, a cabinet reshuffle, not based on what's best for the Victorian people, but based on their own internal political machinations. And this is exactly what I talk about while we're doing the grift episode. This is what I talk about in here, the perverse incentives of politics. In Good People Break Bad Laws, I talk a lot about this. The fact that their decisions are not based on what's best for us, it's what's based on best for them, what's best for them. Now, several sources at the time told him that it cost him the support of at least 6 MPs who had backed him during the December leadership coup. They also complained, and this is back to your point, Carly, that the opposition has become too one-dimensional in its focus on crime under Batten's leadership at the expense of other priorities. The risk is this singular approach became evident last week when the government made a series of law and order announcements and get the gobsmacking arrogance of this, that closed the point of difference between Labor and the coalition on questions of bail, sentencing, knife crime, youth justice, and retail crime. It left Brad looking completely flat-footed, one MP said. Now, can we stop for a second and realize all Jacinta Allen had to do was make the announcements, and all of a sudden the political world is responding as though it's a reality?
Yeah.
Again, we talk about this all the time. Politicians don't get rewarded for fixing problems. They get rewarded for promising to fix problems. Brad Batten had a clear point of difference between himself and the Labor Party. The Labor Party made promises that sounded like the Liberal Party, and therefore all of a sudden, oh, well, there's no point of difference. This is the degree of the bubble that they live in. They can't imagine a courageous response that says, that all sounds well and good, Premier, but you've failed to deliver on any of the promises you've made already. Yeah. Like that was a weapon. They were handed an even better weapon, but instead of using it against Labor, they're using it to stab Brad Batten in the back. I don't know if the Liberal Party of Victoria can be saved at this point.
I don't think they should. I don't think they should be. I don't think they should be. Every time I hear Jeff Kennett coming out and speaking, I'm like, you all need to step down. Every single one of you. Not one of you are genuinely wanting to step up and fix this state. What they want. Yeah. I actually do believe that a lot of them quite enjoy being in the opposition. They get a very cushy paycheck and they don't actually have to get their hands dirty. Why would you want to be the premier? It's not a very fun position to be in. You are required to have a very thick skin. And, you know, I don't pretend to believe that Jacinta has an easy job. I don't like her. I detest her politics. But, you know, I understand that her position would be quite difficult.
Yeah.
Brad Batten or whoever this new Jess Wilson is, or even Prosciutto, They're on a very cushy, I think it's what, $280,000 plus their expense allowance.
Depends on how many committees and stuff they get on. They can bump that up.
And you just have to rock up to Parliament once every 2 months, maybe do a bit of question, go shake some babies, kiss some hands. You know how it is? Yes, I said that deliberately. But
no, I know you did.
There's a handful of talent in the Liberal Party. The biggest one is Nicole Werner. And then there's Moira Deeming. Now, the issue with Moira Deeming, and I think she's grateful with what she's done, but I don't see her other than that case. So I'm not saying that she's not necessarily doing it. What I'm saying is any move she's making outside of her standing up for herself in that defamation trial, I haven't seen it. So it's not visible. So I'm not saying she's not doing it. What I'm saying is she's not making enough noise. Nicole Werner, for those of you who aren't familiar, she's a young gun in the Liberal Party, and she is making videos and content that works on social media. She gets it. And she is doing exactly what I expect of a politician. Whereas everyone else, I don't know who their advisors are. I would love to know who is in the ear of these politicians, because they are completely out of touch, not only in their messaging, but also in their delivery. I don't want to see you all like, mealy mouth standing behind a lectern talking about, oh, it's terrible. Go and be in those communities. Go and sit with them, meet with these people, talk with these people. Stop doing everything as if it's a PR move. Be real, be human. What really bothered me about Jacinta Allen's press conference when she announced her new tough laws is she opened reading a letter from a neighbor, and she talked about, and this got clipped, by the way, this was like a couple of days ago, and it was poorly clipped to save as if she was talking about her own husband. But she opened her discussion reading out a letter of a neighbor of hers who had a home invasion and the husband was stabbed 3 times. And Jacinta read, and this is what gets me, right? Jacinta gets PR. She's from the cabinet of Daniel Andrews. These people get it. These are the most 1984 propagandizing motherfuckers you will ever encounter. And I hate giving them compliments, but they do it so well. And you can't underestimate your competition. And that's what frustrates me about the Liberal Party. She comes out reading this letter, and every single person who's been touched by this crime goes, oh my God, she's getting it finally. And then all of a sudden, everyone's like, oh, it's done now. She said she's going to do it, so it's done. It's set in stone.
Correct.
There's not even legislation yet. There's no one's even got a bill in Parliament. Nothing's happened. They close up shop in 2 weeks' time. And the government's going to dump a whole bunch of documents that no one has time to read, and this is going to be pushed into next year. When are they back in Parliament? February, late February, maybe March?
It's pretty much never in January. It's February or March. But this is exactly the problem. And I've got to say, this comes back to us. And when I say us, I mean it in the population-wide sense of the us. We let them get away with this stuff. The politicians, number one, I'm going to say it again, politicians don't benefit from fixing problems. They benefit from promising to fix problems. But that means that they benefit from there being problems for them to promise to fix.
Yeah.
So actually, they have an incentive to not fix the problem. And what we're seeing from Jacinta Allen, and what we're seeing in all of these machinations right now, is that she is not going to be punished for failing on crime as long as she periodically keeps on ramping up her promises. She hasn't delivered on any of the early promises. We have no reason to believe that she'll deliver on any of the current promises, let alone any future ones she makes between now and the next election. And yet, the fact that she's made the promise, it's a big promise, it's a bold promise, the harshest bail laws in the world. Like, we heard that promise and everyone went, oh, finally, we're going to get some action. No, we're not. And she doesn't want to do anything, because if she solves that problem, what's she going to promise next time? They actually have an incentive to not fix the problems, because that way they've got something they can promise.
There's so many things I want to say. I'm trying not to get worked up. Can you tell? I'm trying to hold back a rant. Maybe I should just go for it. I haven't been spicy for a while.
Yeah.
When we have a look at all the highlights of what's unfolded in Victoria, now this is also happening in other states. I don't pretend that it's not. But Victoria 100%. Really is the basket case of Australia. Yeah. And unfortunately, if we don't get Victoria right, it's like an infection. This is going to go everywhere. And it kind of already is. We already have Albo as our prime minister, who's a laughing stock. But if we play out the highlight reel, I'm just going to read off a couple of things to you. We had 2 young boys, 12 and 15, murdered by kids holding machetes, most of them out on bail. We've got kids stealing cars with children in it. And we have these weak, pathetic people who have just been a victim of a violent crime where your children were in the back seat of your car as it was stolen by a teenager, and the best you can say to the news, oh, it's not very good.
Yeah.
What has happened to us as people? Have we had lobotomies? Are we all fucking stupid? What has happened? Where is your backbone? We've got a government who's now paying some bureaucrat in Brisbane almost $1 million to oversee the suburban rail loop. A thing that doesn't even have the backing. They don't have the money for it. But they don't have anything pay any attention to this crime crisis where children are getting murdered. And not just kids, because apparently it's Labor that cares about the identity politics. They're Sudanese kids. They're the minority and they're getting murdered. And the government's doing nothing. They're making fake promises. And now I'm going to get back to it. This treaty, right? Because with everything with Labor and anything with the progressive left, it's all about which place you have on that totem pole. So now we've got the Indigenous who are going to come up and say, no, we're not going to have these bail laws. They're not right for us. And then you have the Sudanese whose children are literally being stabbed to death. But also, I remind you, just a couple of weeks ago, we had an Indigenous boy who was 18 who was stabbed with a kitchen knife and left to bleed out.
Yep.
So who actually matters? Whose life actually matters? Is it more important to have these stupid fucking little, tokenistic PR gestures where there's bullshit, unelected bureaucrats, this new treaty tribunal who come and do all their little ceremonies, their little smoke ceremonies. Oh, look, we really care about the Indigenous. Meanwhile, the actual Indigenous are getting fucking stabbed.
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
Well, we said at the time, as dark as it is, like maybe this is what's going to bring about some change. Maybe this stabbing of what, by all accounts, seems to be a genuinely well-respected. I mean, after these sorts of deaths, we always hear, oh, he was such a lovely boy, blah, blah. No, in the case of this, I believe he was an 18-year-old, young Indigenous man stabbed to death. He was, by all accounts, as far as I'm aware, a genuine, upstanding member of society who was contributing and was making his way in the world and was figuring himself out. Was murdered. And you and I said on a podcast at the time, we said, sadly, maybe this is what it takes. Maybe now that it's one of the protected class, this will get some real action. And I'm sorry to say, we were wrong. Right? Not even this is going to get action.
I've got so many videos saved on my phone because, of this podcast. And I just keep looking at stuff every single day. And I keep asking myself, what will it take? In COVID, it was the children's playground, right? That was the straw that broke the camel's back. But yet kids literally murdered in cold blood by other teenagers. That's not enough to change the legislation. And now you have this new governing body who's going to stop any possible reform. Yeah. So what message does that send to the families of the victims? To Dr. Ashley Gordon's family, or to the family of Chol, and I can't remember the other child's name, I'm sorry. What message does that send? That not even your child's murder in cold blood is relevant enough to us to change the bail laws back to what they were, not even reform them. Just put them back to what they were before you changed them.
Yeah, before you ruined it.
What does it take? Yeah. And sorry, I'm going to go on a rant. What is wrong with Australians in general? What has happened for us to sit back and accept this as normal? To see that now we've got machine guns. I'll pull that story up in a minute. We had a drive-by shooting where someone was using a machine gun and just sprayed 20-something bullets. And I guess this has something to do with the tobacco laws. I'll pull the story up in a second. We've got tobacco stores being burnt down across the state. And I'm sure this is happening, in other states as well. We've got kids being stabbed. We've got home evasions. We've got carjackings. None of these existed 10 years ago. These are problems that have been brought into our real life by this government, by their legislation, by this suicidal empathy. And most Aussies are just sitting back and going, well, I guess this is all right. Are we going to get, honestly, everyone on the chat, there's 798 of you. Are we going to get to that point where we're like South Africa and we have to gate ourselves in our houses at night?
Yep.
You go and lock the steel gates in your lounge room to stop someone breaking in? What will it take? What is it that is going to make the average Aussie go, shit, things have to change? Because apparently it's not kids getting murdered. That doesn't seem to matter. What's that escalation point? I don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah, James, open carry, concealed carry, any carry, the ability for there to be consequences, instant and immediate consequences against these people. Can we get to that shooting story? So I've only watched one video of it, but it was clearly a semi-automatic. It was not a fully automatic. A machine gun typically means genuine continuous fire with a single trigger pull. Now, maybe that did happen, but the video that I saw, they only had semi-automatic fire. Now I say only, but semi-automatics are, there are a lot of them in Australia. The vast majority of illegal pistols that have been brought in are going to be capable of semi-automatic fire. Maybe it had a selector and he switched it from semi to full automatic at some point. I just haven't seen the right video. That's entirely possible. But also my understanding is
fire straight away. So I was wondering if it was maybe 3D printed because he can't get it to fire at the first couple of goes.
Okay, well that's a different video that I haven't seen. Can you show me that one?
Yeah, let me pull it up. So this is from 7 News. Let me just refresh it so we can watch it from the start.
And just give us some audio.
That rapid fire delivered around 20 bullets into a home in Broadmeadows just before 1 this morning. Their car pulled up, the gunman jumped out and tried to fire, but nothing happened. He tried again. His accomplice in the front passenger seat had better luck, but the main offender was still struggling with what's believed to be a machine gun. He failed 5 times to fire at the house. It took him almost a minute until he finally succeeded. The same offenders then headed to another house 2 suburbs away in Hadfield, believed to be part of the same family, and shot around 15 bullets into the front of it. Police now hunting for the gunman. They are yet to make any arrests. Full details, 7 News.
Yeah, okay. So that was a machine gun. That was a different video to the one that I'd seen. The one that I saw had a different camera angle, and you could hear it was a fairly steady bang, bang.
Was
bang.
that the one in Sydney? Because there was one in Sydney, I think, yesterday as well.
There? Okay. So the one that I watched the video of, they were shooting into an unoccupied building site. So it seems like it was a completely unrelated shooting, completely different to this one.
Just quickly before I close this down, I put a comment. I was joking, obviously, and I wrote, better make some machine gun bins. Those lovely chaps were just evidently looking for somewhere to dispose of their bullets. And it's got 4,700 likes on it. And the reason I bring that out is because this is Channel 7. This video is their most watched video this year. It's got almost 1 million views on it, right? They normally get about 50,000. This has made everyone go, we're there now. We've got machine guns, right?
This is the real deal.
This is the real deal. And, just random guy in a neighborhood just shooting you up with a machine gun. Now, I imagine this is tobacco laws. I don't know. I didn't look enough into it. But that comment, when you read all the replies to it, everyone's like, it's such a joke. Like, that's the only thing we can do now. We have to joke about this because nothing's been done. Nothing is being done. I haven't seen the Premier come out and address this yet. Maybe she has. Don't quote me on that. But this is the reality of Australia now. We've got so many genuine issues, and yet our politicians are more worried about PR. We've got Jacinta Allen. I've got it here. We have to show this. So
hang on. Before we move on to her PR, can we stay with shootings for a second? I posted this picture up earlier today. Wild security footage has captured a jewelry store owner shooting at a crew, multiple, of masked robbers and chasing them out of his shop and onto the streets. This, of course, happened in the US. It turns out it was actually in California. So good on this guy for having a gun, even though he lives in the Soviet Socialist Republic of California. Now, the comment that I put onto this was them. If we allow victims to be armed, then robberies will turn into shootouts. Me. Yes, they will. 100%. That's exactly what's going to happen. And that is a step up. That is an improvement on the current situation, which is they could open fire at any time and there is nothing that anyone can do about it. Now, in my case, I've got over 2,000 reactions on that, which is, that's a decent post for my page. But of course, you'd expect that on my page. I've got 150,000 people who are, broadly speaking, aligned with me on that. But I do think the mood has turned. And before you get back to what you were going to talk about with Jacinta Allen, I want to mention once again the brothel worker who defended herself using using pepper spray has still not been charged, and rightly so. But I think that tells a story.
Yeah. Well, and I guess this is where we need to get to, where it gets to a point where I always use that analogy of the grass fires. But until this is one hellfire where we're all getting burned, I don't know what it's going to take, because Australia is declining so rapidly. And I mean, maybe we're aware of it because we're paying attention. But even watching the decline in our living standards, our energy prices soaring, the cost of living crisis, immigration, I know we disagree on that, and housing crisis, it's getting to a point where like we're all being suffocated. What this feels like to me is literally the frog in the pot. We are in a pot and the water is starting to boil and no one's ready to jump out yet. That's what it feels like to me. So the reason I say I brought all that up is because I'm going to share this with you. Whilst we had literally a machine gun attack, this is how serious our politicians are. This is what they did over the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
We've got Anthony Albanese and Jacinta. I'm sorry. I'm just going to go back to the screen. I just can't. I just cannot.
Yeah.
How unserious can you be? This has got nothing to do with anything. It's not even open yet. They're celebrating the Westgate Tunnel. It's 4 years overdue. It's billions of dollars over budget. And not one Victorian can use it without paying more. So you're adding this new piece of infrastructure that we all have to pay for, and you want to take this cute fucking PR selfie while someone's literally getting stabbed with a machete over there, someone's car's getting jacked over there, someone can't afford a house because Anthony Albanese, this is another one, has introduced the 5% deposit, and now all of a sudden, I don't know if you know this, house prices are going up. Crazy. Who could have seen it coming? Who could have seen it coming?
Nobody could have predicted that. That is just blindsided me completely.
This photo just sums them up, completely out of touch. And this is the one time I want you to quote Tolkien. Please do it. Do it.
Childless lords sitting in high towers musing on heraldry. Tolkien is speaking of the downfall of civilization, specifically the nation of Gondor, but it applies in the Western world today. He's talking about people that are not invested in the future. In his analogy, it's childless lords, but you can have children and still not give a shit about the future. Childless lords living in high towers. They're detached from the common folk. They don't share the concerns of the common people. Musing on heraldry means they're more worried about how things look and seem. How many stars should I have in my crest? Should I have a lion or a sheaf of wheat? They're more worried about the appearances and their own egos than they are about doing things that actually matter in the real world. And you're right, I do bring it up all the time, but it's true. That is the perfect single sentence summary of what is wrong with what we call leadership in Australia today.
I've got one more for you, because this one, just for the record, for those watching, I have a very good sense of humor. I have a very healthy sense of humor, but there's a time and a place. And when it comes to what our country and our states are currently facing, I need someone who's not thinking this is acceptable. I'm sorry. I don't want a freaking prime minister who's dancing like a buffoon on breakfast radio. This is insulting to my intelligence. Like, look at this guy. Oh, sorry. Can't have music.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So this is the thing. We all want prime ministers and politicians, etc., to be more accessible. We want them to be active on social media, telling us what's going on, blah, blah, blah. But what some politicians have mistaken that to be is that we want them to be a celebrity. We want them to show up on breakfast radio and do all the celebrity things, show up on Hamish and Andy and do all of their fun stunts and all the stuff that they used to do that makes great breakfast radio. No, you're in a position of public trust. You still need to have an air of statesman about you, or stateswoman as the case may be, and you still need to actually be doing your job, doing the work. Now, speaking of politicians and doing their jobs, here is a delicious little moment. Josh Bull, MP for Sunbury, so is an elected MP, says there's no need for panic. We haven't built a multi-billion-dollar tunnel just for running. Very soon, hundreds of thousands of motorists will be using it too. He claims that he ran through it, 8-kilometer run through the tunnel. He gets destroyed in the comments because, as David Timmins replies, unless you got special attention, no one actually ran through the tunnel. We ran about 300 meters into the tunnel, and then we were turned around and had to run back out again. Perhaps you should say that you rimmed the tunnel. That's one of the nicer comments. that goes on here. So a lot of people are sick and tired of the BS. They're sick and tired of these MPs pretending like they're celebrities, like we want to see them out and about and doing this kind of fun run stuff in a tunnel that, like you said, Carls, is 4 years and billions of dollars overdue. No, we don't want to see you out there running through it. We want to see it actually working and you working on fixing the next boondoggle and disaster that's already unfolding in our state. We don't care that you got your shorts on and went for a jog.
What I want to see is a politician actually do their job. I don't want to see you out there until you've got something under control. And given how many very serious issues are currently, or we're currently facing as a state and also as a nation, I don't think these politicians have time. I don't think you have time, Albanese, to go on a breakfast show and dance. I don't think you have time to take a selfie on a car. I think you got work to do, because if you're in the private sector, you'd have your ass handed to you. In the private sector, where we all work, where we all have to make sure we get our paycheck, we actually have to rock up to work. We actually have to do our job. And yet when it comes to these politicians, their whole thing is how many? So have you seen the latest? I think it's 432 Australians are going over to the Brazilian climate summit.
The COP30.
More than anyone.
And the US aren't sending anyone, right? So China's emissions are skyrocketing. India's emissions are skyrocketing. Indonesia, Africa, you name it, their emissions are all going up, and with good reason. China, by the way, now uses more electricity per capita. Let me get this one up. Hang on. I wasn't planning on, I'm just going to have to fish for this for a second. I wasn't planning on showing this, but I will be able to grab it fairly quickly here. He says, as he then fails to grab it, there we go. This is China's energy use per capita right now versus Europe. Okay. China is now approximately 30% higher energy consumption per person. Now, the difference is Europe are spending most of their energy on consumption for their comforts, their heating, their cooling, their transportation, blah, blah, blah. China, actually at an individual level in terms of how they live, they're not using that much electricity. But once you add in all of the electricity that's used in their industry, in their manufacturing, and then you average all of that across per person, that's where you end up with this figure. Now, where's that coming from? Well, yeah, okay, they're leading the world in the rollout of renewables, sure, but they're still building more coal than ever before. They're still importing vast amounts of coal. They're building nuclear like there's no tomorrow. They are advancing. America couldn't give a rat's about CO2 emissions under Donald Trump, and rightly so. So they are skyrocketing again. They're exporting energy again around the world. Most of the world no longer cares. Did you know that Indonesia now exports and uses more coal than Australia does? Right. So and just their growth in the last 30 years is larger than Australia. Right. So just the growth of one of our nearby neighbors has completely erased anything that Australia could ever do, both as a user and an exporter of coal. Like, the numbers are stupendous. Who are we fooling? What the hell do we think we're doing?
Well, just on this, I'm going to add this, which I think we've briefly talked about, but since we're on the topic. So it's never been about the climate, as we know, and this performative WEF-style politics that Australia, Canada, and the UK have adopted is all about centralised power, a globalist power, and also ensuring that those of us who object to it have nothing to stand on. So this is the road that's been built to go there. Yeah. It's a 4-lane highway. Yeah. And they felled over 100,000 trees in the Amazon. Now, if you cast your mind back to, was it 3 years ago? The Amazon was, to use their words, literally burning, and no one was doing anything. Now, the Amazon, she's fine. Just chop it down. We've got a road to build.
So I did a video on this a little while ago. It's about 12-kilometer stretch through parts of protected Amazon rainforest. Now, it's not untouched Amazon rainforest, but it was protected. It's not the sort of, if you or I went in there and started chopping down trees, we would get in a hell of a lot of trouble. But the hypocrisy really becomes rank in this when you understand the way they game the numbers. There's a book that I no longer have in my studio called The Virtuous Corruption. It was called Climate and Public Policy, the virtuous corruption of virtual environmental science. I don't believe you can buy it anymore. I have a physical copy, but I believe it's available as a free download, free PDF download. Dr. Ainsley Kello, if you're interested, from the University of Tasmania. And he lays out in that book how computer models are used to come up with the claims around, for example, species extinction and deforestation and these various numbers. They don't come from measurements. They come from extrapolations. And so, for example, what they did, they studied ecosystems, and they realized that the larger an ecosystem is uninterrupted, the greater the biodiversity. So, for example, some grass in the nature strip in the middle of the road is going to have a much smaller biodiversity, a much smaller group of different animals living in it compared to 100,000 hectares of rainforest, right, is going to have. And the size plays a part in that. And so then what they do is they say, right, we've measured that the bigger an ecosystem is, the more the biodiversity. So what they then do, that's the measurement. But they say, right, every time we cut up a piece of otherwise uninterrupted habitat, we've halved its size, or we've reduced its size. So every time a four-wheel drive track goes through, well, now those are two separate habitats. Oh, you want to put a fire break through? No, those are separate habitats now. And they rerun the numbers and they say, well, you've just killed 6,000 different species because that size of habitat could support this many, but these sizes of habitat, well, they only support this much. It's pure numbers. It's pure. And it sounds insane, but there are probably people listening going, no, come on, it can't be like that. Professor Kello goes through and has all the receipts on this. And so what happens when you run a road through a place like the rainforest, like the Amazon, the bleeding hearts claim when anyone else does it, not that you're cutting down 100,000 trees and you're building a 12-kilometer highway. They say, no, you're destroying this entire ecosystem. You're carving a hole down the middle of it and separating it out, and you're going to cause the extinction of all of these different animals and species that don't occur anywhere else in the world. That's what they would say if you or I were going to cut a road through the Amazon rainforest. That's what their numbers, which are lies, but nevertheless are their numbers. That's what they say. So the hypocrisy here, not only are they cutting down 100,000 trees, no. On their numbers, they just killed thousands of species that don't exist anywhere else in the world, that no one's ever measured, by the way, and no one will ever be able to find that they went extinct, but they know that they're there because they've done the models.
Yeah. So I want to bring this up for you because we've talked about this and I'm trying to joke. So this is our friend of the show, Mike Cannon-Brookes. You may remember he had to really soul search to buy his top-end Gulfstream jet.
It was such a struggle. And look, I really felt for him. I felt for him agonizing over whether he was going to kill the planet or spend more time with his kids. It was a real struggle.
And I can only imagine that when it comes to choosing a private jet and its interior and thinking of all the beautiful holidays that you can come on, that you must consider that should you have the beige leather seats or should you have the tan leather seats? There's a lot of questions he would have had to consider. So, heart goes out to him. It's a tough thing.
You have to get the seats where the leather is made from baby seals. That's the shit right there.
Baby polar bears would be better. Baby polar bears,
baby polar bear leather. That is so hot right now.
Yeah. So I just thought this story was well timed. So essentially Atlassian, so Mike Cannon-Brookes' company, has failed to meet its ambitious carbon emission targets. But meanwhile, old Nate cruises around in his Bombardier Global 7500. I don't speak private jet, so forgive me. I'm not quite familiar with what that means. But so basically, in their sustainability report that was released on Monday, it revealed that emissions from business travel has soared by 135%. This figure starkly contrasts with Atlassian's publicly stated goal set in 2019 to reduce the same travel emissions by 25% by this year, a key milestone in its commitment to achieve net zero emissions by 2040. I don't know about you. I know this might be a silly question, but if your business travel and your carbon emissions are soaring by 135%, I mean, it must be because he bought a push bike.
Yeah, and I can completely understand the need for someone to have a private jet. Particularly if you've got a small penis, that's a well-established way of fixing that problem.
Or you just want to not travel with the mere mortals. Yeah, to be fair, as someone who goes to airports a lot, if I had that option, I'd take it.
Well, there is that story about how someone who, the difference between new money and old money. New money's flashy and wants to show off and brag, and old money tends to be much more quiet. And there's the story about some new money guy who's trying to show off at some big hobnobby event in Europe and talking about the fact that these days he only ever flies first class, and people were getting a bit sick and tired of him. And finally, one of the old money stands up and says, "Oh, you still take public transport?" And put him in his place. It's a funny thing. I aspire to have a private jet one day. Would I like one? Of course I would. Of course I'd like to be able to get to where I want to go and speak at conferences or meet people or whatever, and do it in privacy and on my own schedule and into and out of whatever airports I want, blah, blah, blah. But they are stupendous amounts of money for a reason, right? Like, they are genuinely phenomenally expensive to build, to run, to fly, the fuel, all the regulations, the maintenance, the insurance, everything else. And very few people can actually justify one from a business point of view on a genuine cost basis, rather than a nice to have, I have the money, so I'll spend it, which is fine. You're allowed to do that. I've got no problem with that. But to sit there and say, we need this for the business. There are people that can actually justify that, where the time saved and the effectiveness of their CEO or leadership team is such that actually it does pay for itself. But the vast majority of the time, it's, I want that, and I will justify it by saying that the business needs it. And I'm going to say that in the case of Mike Cannon-Brookes, and when you look at the valuation of Atlassian, when you look at the state of technology today and his ability to meet with anyone he wants at any time he wants, anywhere in the world, online, and then use first class to get anywhere else, or charter a jet. If you really absolutely have to make that connection, charter somebody else's private jet, like a schleb, right? Just like a little person, like a pauper. Oliver with his bowl of soup. Please, sir, may I have one more ride in your private jet? Like, that's like, you just become a pauper like the rest of us. No, there is no business justification. And to be clear, if you want one, good for you. But don't claim that you're a climate warrior and then say, oh, but I need this. No, you don't.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring up an old clip of Bill Gates in a second, but just on that, I mean, I have no issue if you become wealthy and you buy yourself a private jet. Good on you. I'll use Adrian as an example, but the Kardashians, whatever. In the Kardashian family, I think they each have there's like 6 private jets in that family. They've all got one, right?
Yeah.
Fair game. I don't necessarily like you or what they do, but they've worked hard maybe and got themselves private jets. Where my issue lies is that you live that life of luxury. So Atlassian, the 2 co-founders, Scott Farquhar and Mike Cannon-Brookes, have the 2 most expensive bar one house in Sydney on the harbour.
Yeah, wow.
One of the 2 of the most expensive houses, over like $60 million or something. Like, money that you and I don't even know what $60 million buys you in a house. I have no idea. What does a $60 million house look like that a $20 million doesn't look like? I don't know. All right. Do you have your own landing strip? I don't know. Anyway. So they're enjoying the fruits of their capitalist success whilst lecturing you and I about our emissions and how you and I, who don't have the resources of billions of dollars, have to pay more in our electricity bills and be taxed more and more and slide back into poverty, because that's exactly what's happening to the middle class. Yeah. And we're meant to listen to these people. We're meant to take them seriously. Now, I want to bring this up. This is old, to be fair. This is from 2023. So some of you may have seen it, but this paints a really good picture. These are the people who are lecturing us on climate change. This is none other than Bill Gates. And have you seen this? Do you remember this?
I don't actually think I've seen this individual video, no.
All right, I'm going to play it really quickly. If it plays.
I'm here at the APEC Global CEO Summit, and it's incredible to be part of such an impactful event.
Hang on, we'll just talk over this. So essentially, he sat down and was asked if he's a hypocrite for flying private jet. And he says no, because he is offsetting his emissions. So he gets to enjoy that because he's a billionaire and he can offset his emissions. Yeah. So that's how, isn't it? So I just want to play this, if it will let me, when this ad pisses off. Here we go.
You actually mentioned your use of a private jet. Let me put it to you directly. What do you say to the charge that if you are a climate change campaigner, but you also travel around the world on a private jet, you're a hypocrite.
Well, I buy the gold standard of funding Climeworks to do direct air capture that far exceeds my family's carbon footprint. And I spend billions of dollars on climate innovation. So, you know, should I stay at home and not come to Kenya and learn about farming and malaria?
Right. So let me ask you this. If you actually believe that the apocalypse is coming, are you living a yes but no? Or are you just going to do everything, cut your own emissions and spend all the money pulling the carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere? That's the attitude of someone who does not believe that this is an existential crisis. And there is nothing anyone can say that will convince me otherwise.
And that to me is just classic Marxist mindset. Now, like, I'm going out on a limb there. I do think all of these people, these elites, are Marxists, or they're trying to make us adopt this. I want to contrast this. It's a bit different, but it's the same thing. So, you know, to have someone like Bill Gates, who, you know, to be fair, he does do this whole, he does invest. So that's not a lie. But then you have people like this. Now, this is a bit of a tangent, but it makes sense. Let me just pull it up.
Tangent time. To everyone that's been whinging about the lack of musicality in our shows recently, we've heard you. We're bringing it back.
Okay. So this is Billie Eilish. Are you familiar with Billie Eilish?
I know what happened here. Yes.
Okay, so so Billie Eilish, she's for those who don't know who she is, she's a pop star, and everyone makes a big deal about her. I don't think she's that big. I think she's big in like a Gen Z lunchbox. You know, I don't know.
I think she's got a really good publicist who is really social media savvy.
Yeah, because I like this whole pouty sort of like, I'm so bored with my life, I'm so cool. I have no time for it. This sort of petulant kind of look. Anyway, Billie has come out calling Elon Musk a coward and what else did you call him? Sorry, a pathetic, because this is over his $1 trillion evaluation, right? Or his $1 trillion payday. And so I'm just going to do this really quickly. Let me I should have done this before, but hang on. Let's have a look here. Just so I've got the right figure. Okay, cool. So Billie Eilish is worth $53 million estimated in 2025, maybe more, maybe less, 25 million. I don't know about you. I don't have 25 million. That sounds like a lot of money.
Not today.
Oh, it's not 25. Sorry. I read that wrong. 53 million. My apologies.
53,
53 million.
Yeah.
That's fuck you money. I would call that fuck you money. Would you?
Yeah. That's right up there. Yeah.
So Billie Eilish has come out calling Elon Musk pathetic and a coward, and accusing him for not ending world hunger with his wealth. So he could choose to spend, allegedly, the figure to cure world hunger is $40 billion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Billie, you got 53 million. How much are you giving? How much are you giving?
Okay, so this is the other problem. The way to it could cost you X amount of money to feed everybody, but actually the way to end world hunger is by them being able to feed themselves. It's nothing can be called sustainable until it's financially sustainable. You can buy all the food you want and give it to them until they have industry and productivity and they're connected into a financial ecosystem where they can actually earn money, pay bills, send their kids to school, get education, improve their own lives, etc. That's when you've solved world hunger. Nothing is solving world hunger faster than capitalism. And in fact, when you look at the Millennium Development Goals, which set goals for world poverty, we were exceeding those by some margin because technology made it easier and better and faster for people to integrate into the global economy. All of a sudden, Asian countries where they'd been backwaters only a decade ago, suddenly they're connected to the internet and they're able to start little sweatshops and sell to the Western world. And we sit on our privileged side of things going, oh, sweatshops, you can't buy from them. Meanwhile, people are moving. They're walking hour upon hour out of country, rural areas where they're suffering suffering starvation in the hope of maybe getting one of those sweatshop jobs, because that would be the best thing that had ever happened to them, right? And we're so out of touch with the economic reality that so much of the world faces that we look at it and go, oh no, that's terrible. We can't support that sort of thing. Well, I'm sorry. Do you want them to go back into starvation in subsistence farming in rural bumfuck middle of nowhere, wherever it was that they came from? That's the option they've got. And so we sit there and say, oh, it'll cost X amount of money to feed the world. That's nice. What's it going to take for them to be able to feed themselves? That's actually the far more important question. And in that regard, Elon Musk is absolutely leading the way. Look at what he's doing to improve the ability for the world to connect with each other, for untouched peoples to be able to connect in. These people are not going to go through the progression that we went through of the steam engine, the internal combustion engine, the telegram, the telephone, etc., and eventually the internet at the end of their development. They're going straight from eating mud patties and mud cakes. They don't even have electricity in their own home. They have to go to the local shopping center to recharge their phones, but they've got a phone, they've got connectivity, and they can start doing business globally. They're coming up through an entirely different pathway to what we are. Elon Musk is doing more than any other human being that I can name to connect the world and enable them to become wealthy on their own terms, to be able to feed themselves. So Billie Eilish, I'm happy for you. I'm glad you made your money, but you picked literally the worst possible target that you could have picked for criticism. There is a reason why his own shareholders said that he's worth $1 trillion if he achieves the targets that they've agreed to, right? It's because he's worth $1 trillion if he achieves those targets.
It's low IQ comments. It's the same. It's like all of these women who get up on their soapboxes from the comfort of their LA home and tell us mere mortals how to think. It's really easy to say that when you got $53 million in the bank, Billy. I'm sure you appreciate all the creature comforts. You travel around the world private. You don't have to hang out with the plebs. And having them lecture us about our sustainability, our carbon offsets, the way that we're approaching the world. Another tangent. I think I brought this channel up before. I'm obsessed with travel, but there's a few places that are, I want to get to every single country in the world, but there are a few countries that are literally at the bottom of the list. And I almost don't know if I want to go there. Can you imagine, of all the countries in the world, one of the countries that I want to go to the least?
Sierra Leone.
A lot
North
of
Korea, maybe, but that might kind of fascinate you a little bit.
No, I want to go to North Korea. Like that's on the bucket list. Yeah.
Like Chad, like these sorts of places, I would have thought.
It's Southeast Asian or Asian continent. I've been to China. It's India. I do not want to go to India. Of all the places, I do not want to go to India. So I bring up this channel. This is Bald and Bankrupt. This is one of my favorite travel channels. And he used to go to a lot of the Soviet countries, but he's just recently been in India. And this is so important for anyone who wants to understand what we're importing at the moment. Go and have a look at what actual India looks like. And he walks around. And so to his credit, he goes and blends in with the locals, right? He goes down all the normal local areas and travels on the local trains. And it is, aside from being abject poverty, it is filth. It is filth like you and I could never fathom. It is public defecation. You just walk past men who are just, pissing on the side of a street, of the sidewalk as children are walking past. They don't care. There is rubbish everywhere. And obviously everyone knows how polluted the Ganges is. That's easy. At least there's water to wash it away. And the reason I point this out is when you have people like Bill Gates and Anthony Albanese and Chris Bowen and whoever the fuck else are these bleeding heart lefties telling you and I that we need to pay more for our electricity to the point where you actually can't do anything. And we've now got pensioners deciding whether or not they can put their heating and cooling on. Go and watch a video on India. And what's their population? 1.5 billion?
Yeah,
we're over here pushing Australia, a first world country with the resources of one of the best developed countries on the planet, into abject poverty because we want to save our climate emissions whilst that's going on. Are you joking? How embarrassing.
Yeah, and this is also why, we talked a little while ago about this issue where there were some Indians who held a party, an event in a park in Australia, and then they just walked into the creek and dumped all the rubbish in. And you and I talked about that, and there is a need, when people come from other cultures, there is a need to snap them into line real quick. We have to have a zero tolerance, no compromise kind of approach to people that want to import those kinds of attitudes and behaviors. I'm not saying we shouldn't let them in. I'm saying that the individuals that are responsible for that kind of behavior need to be snapped out of it real quick. Or if they won't, then in that case, we send those individuals home. We have to have a zero tolerance approach, because no, I don't want to live in a place where people treat the street as their sewer.
I'm going to interrupt you. We're heading there. When was the last time you drove around and had a look? People joke at me, laugh when I talk about chicken in the noodle aisle, right? People think it's funny. This is where it starts. Oh, it's not my job. Oh, that piece of rubbish on the side of the road. On the side of the sidewalk, or the coffee cup, or the cigarette butt that's on the floor. That's not my job. I'm not going to pick it up. Yeah. That's someone else's job. And then you keep walking and you see, it's been a windy day and people's wheelie bins have blown over and all the rubbish is going everywhere. Or a crow's been through the wheelie bin. Rubbish is all over the road. Not my problem. I'm not going to pick it up. Why would I do that? That's the attitude of Australians. So much so that it starts with chicken in the noodle aisle. And then you see it with all of our local civic areas just falling into decay, things falling apart, graffiti, overflowing rubbish bins. Go and drive on our freeways littered with potholes. Go drive, down your local streets and look at all the discarded rubbish. People don't care. People don't give a fuck in this country. We are heading that way. Now, it's very hyperbolic of me to suggest that we're going to look like India in 5 years. We will not. But we are going that way because our attitude is reflecting that. We don't give a shit anymore, as evident by the disdain we have for each other. We don't care. It's not our problem. We don't have to pay for it. Why would I clean it up? Isn't that someone else's job? Do you remember that video I made about the burnout car? And for those who didn't see the video, I'm not going to replay it, but essentially there was a car. It wasn't a stolen car. I think it was a Holden Craptiva, and the engine caught fire. And so it was, just to paint the picture, a big four-way intersection, and they were turning left and the car obviously caught fire. They weren't even completely off the slip lane. They were kind of like on the gutter. So the car was actually obstructing the road, particularly if you're turning left, and it was burnout. And it had a canary on it. It had police tape on it. Everyone knew it was there. Their insurance company knew it was there. The owners knew it was there. The council clearly knew it was there because the council had sent out the local worker to go and mow around it. It had been there that long that the grass had started to take it as its own. And so everyone knew that car was there. It was there for almost 8 weeks. And I drove past it every fucking day going to the supermarket. And I kept thinking, how much longer will it take for that burnout car to go? And every day, hundreds of people driving past it. No one gives a shit. That is Australia in a nutshell. And you think, Carly, you're being ridiculous. You're blowing this out of proportion. Go and look with your eyes. Go and look at what this country is descending into. No one gives a shit about anything. Go into our CBD. It's a homeless cesspit. There's shit everywhere. So Spaniard, for those who don't follow Spaniard, he put up a video of a homeless man. And he basically had this homeless man. You're not allowed to move them on, apparently. And there was needles everywhere. And it was the middle of the day, rubbish, junk everywhere. And you have no right to move them on. Pure filth, right? The kind of filth you'd see in India. And we don't get to do anything about it because the bleeding heart socialists will tell us, oh, we need to approach this with empathy. We need to care about their feelings. This is ridiculous. Australia is going to end up a third world country until we start to realize that collectively we all play a role. Yes, our politicians should be doing more, but what the fuck are we doing? Why am I finding chicken tenders in the noodle aisle? Why is everyone's nature strip up to my knees? Why is there rubbish floating everywhere on your fucking nature strip? Why can't you pick it up? Why? Because we don't care. We don't give a shit. No one gives a shit. That's where we're at. Sorry, that's my rant.
And scene. I really felt that, Carly. That was fantastic. Yes. No, you're right.
I'm a great actress, apparently.
You're absolutely right. And I look forward to your double doctorate because obviously, just a single doctorate is beneath you. You're too good for that. You're gonna have to do a double doctorate with a double exhibition chicken in the noodle aisle on this through this door, and then the rose budding exhibition through that door. And if you walk through the wrong door, you're going to regret it.
To be fair,
now,
the rose budding one might make me more money. So maybe I do that one first.
Yeah, probably. All right, we need to blast through some super chats because I only got through one earlier and then we literally haven't touched them since. And there's some people with some great comments and questions. So let's be rapid fire here.
All right,
Ricky Hammer says, if you could be reincarnated, what would you choose to come back as? Me, a cockatoo, you?
You go first.
Oh, gosh, of course you did. No, look, honestly, I would not be able to go past being a Black Panther. They are just the coolest creatures in all of God's green earth. It's the way they move, the way they look, the habitat they dominate. Awesome.
I was going to say a jaguar, but jaguars hang out in the Amazon where there's anacondas and big spiders, and I don't think I want to be in that environment.
Black Panthers do have some of that problem as well, yeah.
So I don't really want to be on the ground. I would say an albatross.
Not bad. You get to travel long distances, see the world. Not bad.
Yeah.
All right. Daniel Moore has some good news for me. Hey, Topher, I have a present for you that Damo dropped off to me on his way home to Melbourne. Pretty sure you will love it. I look forward to hearing more about that in coming days. Isn't it? No. He said I would love it. It has to be a vibrating butt plug.
Sorry, my apologies. A little diamante on it.
That's right. Potholes under labor. 10 people watching one person work on the hole while others are putting witch hats around for months before the next contractors come in and seal the road. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And this is part of the problem. They say, oh, it's too expensive. Yes, it's too expensive because of all the rules and regulations and safety nanny nonsense that you've rammed down our throats.
Yeah.
All right.
Just on that, literally today I was driving to the supermarket. And I'm not too sure what they were doing. They were doing something near a nature strip. And I counted. There was about 9 people with high vis on, all walking around. I don't know what they were doing. Evidently not a lot because I couldn't distinguish what they were doing. And there was 2 people either end with the little stop-go signs. And both people who were holding the stop-go signs, I'm not even joking. They were holding the sign and they were like this.
Yeah.
Oh. This state is a joke. It's an absolute joke,
And they're getting paid $80,000 a year to do that and be on their phone most of the time. Or if they're outside of metropolitan areas, they're on more like 120. All right. James Bennett's breaking Jackie Felgate, to challenge Limbrick for the post of Victorian leader of the opposition. Yes, sadly. Limbrick's great. Don't take that as my agreement as a slight against Limbrick. But Jackie Felgate is taking it to the government more than what the Liberals are right now.
And that's what I said. I mean, I'm going back on my word. I don't have a lot of time for Jackie Felgate, but to be fair, I mean, you got to embrace these people when they come across. So welcome, Jackie, to the dark side.
All right, so Joe has thrown a couple of comments our way. He says, can't we just say it how it is? Treaty equals manifesto. What are your thoughts? So as in the treaty would equal something like a communist manifesto or these sorts of things. Well, I think treaty is the outworking of the manifesto. I think the statement from the heart, the Uluru Statement of the Heart, was really kind of the closest thing we have to a manifesto from the Indigenous grievance industry here in Australia, and that called for treaty, but it called for treaty as part of a pathway towards reparations and paying the rent. And when you look at the native title claim and the fact that it covers all of the grid, all of the CBD, and then a huge amount of metropolitan Melbourne, I would not put it past them at all to start saying, hey, everybody, we want $10 a year, $20 a year, $50 a year from every single homeowner.
I actually, I'm call this a premonition. I do believe by the time Parliament comes back next year, there will be legislation from this. What are we calling it? The tribunal or the Aboriginal? What are they calling themselves?
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah. Hang on. Yeah. First People's Assembly is the current body.
Okay, so whatever the new version is, there will be legislation where they say we just need reparations from each Victorian for $5. And that money will go towards blah, blah, blah. And then just like Black Lives Matter, Patricia Concoula's, all of a sudden, 6 beautiful multi-million-dollar mansions in a private name. Mark my words.
Yeah,
and 100%. I know this because the guy who was facing the media when that whole metropolitan Melbourne land grab popped up was about as Irish could be. Like he's literally descendant from a convict. right? Not to say that someone didn't have an affair along the way and there's no Aboriginal in him. I'm not saying I don't know his lineage, but that man is as white as you and I. And to sit there and spit in the face of actual Aboriginals who live in remote communities up in the NT, up in northern Queensland, and say that he's an Aboriginal and like, it's disgusting. It's fucking disgusting. I'm sorry.
Don't tell me that you've been on the receiving end of anti-Aboriginal discrimination when that's what you look like and that's what you sound like. Like, no one has singled you out for anti-Aboriginal discrimination at any point in your life. I'm sorry.
At what point? Do you remember? This was I'm jumping all over the place, but this happened in WA, and it was Mark McGowan stood next to that auntie and was like, translate. Do you remember that?
How dare you bring that up without a trigger warning? I needed a trigger warning, damn it.
And how awkward that was. And everyone's just like, this is so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
When are they going to allow someone who actually looks like an Aboriginal speak? Well, I mean, we've got Warren Mundine and Jacinta Price. That's not good enough, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, no, seriously.
To be fair, the translator looked like an Aboriginal woman, but she was just speaking a bastardized version of English. Like, she wasn't speaking in any of their native languages. But that's the problem. Which language would they choose? Because there is no unified language.
The reason I brought that clip up is she was there. She was capable of speaking. Yes, she was speaking sort of like a pidginy English, but Mark McGowan had to be next to her to sort of like translate. I'm like, let her have a platform. She's speaking to her mob. Her mob was going to understand her.
I thought it was the other way around. I thought she was translating Mark.
I think it was more of it was a PR move that was made to sort of look like, oh, look, here's the Aboriginal woman that we've rolled out because tokenism. But I'm going to have to say it because, like, she's just here for show.
Okay. All right. Well, we remember that differently. We're going to have to agree to disagree. Jorthax read my mind. Can't wait for the exhibition to coincide with Carl's PhD on rosebudding. Seems like we're all about it. We're all about it.
People are going to think I'm really depraved. Come on.
Joe Cameron says to Carl's, I lived in the States in the 2000s. Now it's worse here, re-crime, especially in Melbourne. There is a place in Texas that has a condition where, as a property owner, you must own a gun. Yeah, there's a few places that have actually tried to pass that recently, largely as kind of a point-making publicity stunt, because it's now been struck down by there was a case, I don't know if it went to the Supreme Court, but it went to one of the fairly high-up federal courts in the US, and the requirement to force people to own a gun was struck down. It was brought by, I'm going to bastardize this, but I think it was brought by a state legislature, and I think it was in Tennessee or in one of those states. And they knew it wasn't going to succeed, but they were trying to make a point against the gun grabbers. They were trying to make a point to say, hey, you can't outlaw guns. And so the decision was handed down that, you can't force people to have to own a gun, which I agree with. But yeah, the culture over there, people complain about crime in the US and say, oh, you wouldn't want to live in the US with all their gun crime and everything else. Yes, please. I'll sign up for that in a heartbeat. Because if you stay away from the areas where the idiots are killing each other over drugs and whatever else, which is emerging now in Australia anyway, then actually their overall murder rate is comparable to Australia's with all their guns, right? But it's LA and Chicago and New Orleans and blah, 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 where you have these deeply entrenched ghettos with all of their poverty and their entrenched gang culture. That's where the crime's actually coming from. I would swap in a heartbeat.
Do you know what? Up until about 3 years ago, I'd never really thought about gun ownership in Australia. Like, whenever I've gone to America, I enjoy firing guns. I'm quite good at firing guns. But I'd never thought, I'd like one in my home until the home invasion. And ever since then, like, obviously everything's changed. Now, the more I look into it, the more I'm like, I want to be able to defend myself in any capacity. And the fact that we are stripped of that right is now something that I think should be on the front of everyone's issues. Like, that's the first one. We've got nothing to take care of ourselves. And not to jump all over again, but we are seeing a rise in sexual assaults by a certain demographic, and women have no means of defending themselves.
Yep. Can't even legally have pepper spray.
So
Yep. So Scott Bullock says treaty's been proven unlawful. Look at Jackie Dundee. I'm familiar with Jackie's work. The difficulty that Jackie and everyone else in that kind of camp have is that unlawful is different to illegal. They can make something illegal. Now, I agree, something can be lawful, but outlawed, so to speak. The laws of man have been written against it. But ultimately, they're going to send people with guns to enforce the legal side of things. We have a legal system, not a justice system, and so you can prove things as much as you want. In terms of going back into what the Constitution says, or going back into common law, or etc. That's good. I'm not saying that's a bad thing to do, but never forget that the people who run the legal system are the ones who have the guns. So just be careful how you then translate that into action, I guess is the main point there. Sen09 says, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Yes, indeed, please do. Couple more here. Joe Cameron says, but they are Carls. They are just naturally corrupt. Unfortunately, we lost the context for that one, Joe. I apologize. But it's probably in relation to politicians when we're talking about what politicians have done to this state. Now, Joe makes a really good point here. Your fuck you money starts at 12 million. Mathematically, it's good. With food, our main chains are making it actually harder to fix because cost of movement is massive. So yeah, moving around is the cost of both moving goods, but also moving yourself. But on your fuck you money, so there's been research on this, and I believe the number was actually in the teens of millions of dollars US. But just for the sake of margin, I'm going to inflate it massively and say 50 million US. There is a threshold that the research found was quite distinct, that anything above that amount of money no longer improved your quality of life. Yeah. Once you reached a certain number of tens of millions of dollars under management, so this is money that's not sitting in a bank account, it's invested, it's working, it's earning its 5%, it's 10%, it's owning businesses and so forth. You're working with that money. You are earning so much in dividends and productivity out of that money that more money makes no difference. And what they said specifically was the billionaire, the George Soros, the Mark Bezos owns the super yacht, but they still only spend 2 weeks a year on it, right? The person with $50 million under management can spend two weeks a year on a super yacht if they want. They can pick a different super yacht each time. They just pay the chartering fees. It doesn't hurt them. They don't care. They pay the chartering fees. They pay the fuel. They pay the exorbitant tip. They do all of that. They don't notice that money is gone, but they don't have to pay for the yacht for the other 50 weeks of the year when they're not on it. So what you own is different. But ultimately, how you live is not. Once you get above, and it is, I believe it was in the teens of millions of dollars US is that threshold. And I absolutely intend to reach that threshold at some point in my life. I will keep on learning and discovering and trying to figure out how business works. If I can get on some big podcasts in the US and sell a bunch of books, buy my books, everybody. Help me to get my fuck you money. If I can get onto some big podcasts in the US and sell 10 million books, well, yeah, I mean, that's absolutely doable.
The other thing is too, I see this comment a lot, and I do have some stuff to talk about, but I might save it till Wednesday because we can have a bigger chat about it. But, I mean, I brought this up plenty of times when people say, oh, we're grifting or whatever. It actually takes a massive amount of money to break through the middle class. And this is what people underestimate. They go, you earn 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. It sounds like a lot of money when you only earn $60,000, but it's not enough. A lot of
money in comparison.
Yes, it is in comparison, but in terms of actually breaking through to that part where you can start investing and cultivating wealth, there's a very big distinction between the two. And a lot of what people have when they start to earn more money is lifestyle creep. You buy a better home, you buy a better car, you buy better clothes, you buy organic food instead of just random food or, the savings brand food. And so it actually takes a substantial amount of movement or liquidity to push you into that next thing. And so when people say, you're grifting or whatever, all we're doing is most of us in the middle class are grifting to just be able to pay your bills as they fall due, or maybe buy yourself a new kitchen in the house that you desperately need to renovate, or, For me, for example, I'm not pretending to say that I don't earn good money. I earn good money, but there's still so many things that there's always a choice. Oh, do I do this or do I do that?
Sure.
Do I do this or do I do that? There's always a choice there where you get to a point where you can go, yeah, I can do anything. It's irrelevant. And that's why, I think with a lot of these pop stars and things like that, Billie Eilish, whoever it is, they go from having middle class lives, and Billie did. Well, I think she was a little bit more than middle class, but anyway,
Sure.
And then all of a sudden they accumulate or they amass wealth quickly. They get a massive cash injection of a few million. And you think about what you would do if you had those raw resources of $1 million or $2 million, like of liquid cash, and what you could do. Most Australians are like just trying to keep their head above the water, and they might get a tax return of a couple $1,000, and they're like, oh shit, maybe I'll go get that root canal. Maybe I'll go get that the car engine service that I desperately need a new part for, or whatever it is. Like until people are earning like tens of millions of dollars, I wouldn't call it grifting, guys. I'd call it just like fighting to survive.
Fighting to survive, and trying to figure out what your value proposition is. This is the thing. So your income is the multiple of these three factors together. How often you get paid, how much you get paid, and how many people are paying you. And for most people, they think they get paid, for each hour. All right. So we're going to break it down. They're being paid an hourly rate. They're being paid by one person. They can only work for one person in each given hour. And they're being paid, let's say, $30 for that hour. And the system, all our education system, our culture, everything else is focused around trying to improve the amount you get paid per hour. If you go and get a degree, you can get $50 per hour. If you become a high-flying lawyer, you'll be able to get $300 an hour. Well, yeah, but you're still only being paid by one person at a time, right? One person per unit of time. Business, and that is essentially, we're in the business of creating content. We're trying to get paid by multiple people. I release a video. Each person that watches that video, I get 1/100th of a cent. But if enough people do it, because multiple people can do it at once, that can add up to a lot more money than what someone else might earn in an hour. Business is the game of playing with the other two variables, how many people are paying you and how often they pay you, as well as being able to change how much they pay you. And that depends on the service offering and how you deliver it. Are you a product business, a service business? If you can deliver online products, digital products online to an infinite, to the entire planet for basically zero delivery cost, you've got the potential to make enormous amounts of money, because the entire world can pay you X amount of money as often as you can offer them something that they look at and go, yes, I want that. I'm going to pay you that money. And so for people that are kind of locked in, and I don't blame those people, we get taught this, we get brought up with this. Parents teach it to their kids, often meaning well, but the school system also really breeds it into you. You are going to play with that one variable, how much you get paid per hour. And the pathway to getting paid more per hour is to get a degree. That's literally the paradigm that you're raised with. Someone like me says, no, screw that. I'm going to take a bunch of the things that I've learned and the insights that I have and the understanding of the world and how I filter and interpret that and put it into a book where theoretically an infinite number of people can pay me, $39, right, for this book. Probably only once, all right? But then I write a second book, and in time I'll write a third book and a fourth book and create more opportunities and more reasons why more people would potentially want to transact with me more often. And that's where breaking out of that poverty cycle of, and I'm still in it, just having to think about, well, which bill am I going to be late on this month? That's an unpleasant place to be, but that's a reality for a lot of us. We don't actually have enough to cover everything. We can, we can kind of get there, but we're kind of, who's going to be pissed off with me this month? Right. And that's the situation that most of us are in.
Yeah. Like I was saying, you've got to make these decisions. Oh, am I going to do this today? Or am I going to do that today? Am I going to do this today? And I want to bring this article, because I think you shared it as well on today. I was quite shocked that The Age actually published this, to be honest. Did you read this?
Yeah. Yes. Astonishing. Ditto. That's why I posted it. It was such a surprise to me.
So overgoverned, overtaxed, and overcomplicated, how Australia was set up to fail. So this is an opinion piece, right? So interestingly, before I go into the piece, as I do, I scroll through the comments, and it's so bizarre to me how many people are still sycophanting, pardon me, for the government. So here's an example. Overtaxed. A modest tax increase on balances over 3 million will generate hysteria by the ruling class, then peddled by the marketing department, newspapers, and unfortunately lapped up by cookers. So these are people who are literally voting in their own decline of living standards because they refuse to see that their government, the side that they cheer for, is making terrible decisions. I'm not defending what Scott Morrison did, by the way. I'm merely saying that just in general, Australia is going down the gurgler, and people on both sides are like, well, but maybe we better get that selfie of us on the new train, and we'll just throw this new sledge at the opposition or vice versa. No one in this country that is currently in government, well, I shouldn't say no one, but very few people seem to genuinely care about achieving an outcome. It's just about making sure they're reelected. But I'll go into this article. So when the door shuts on this financial year, Australia's 3 levels of government will have set a record. They will have collected more than $1 trillion in taxes, charges, and fees from residents and businesses. A business that operates across the nation faces up to 36 different versions of payroll tax. So there's a quote. And then of that $1 trillion that will be raised this year, just a quarter will be state raised. The rest will flow from Canberra, either through grants, direct assistance, or GST. Yet the states are directly responsible for more than half of all government spending. So to cut the long story short, we do all the work and they collect all the money. So the fiscal proclivities of the states and territories represent the biggest risk to the federal government's AAA credit rating. What say you?
Oh, well, it's astonishing to see this in the Age. That's the main thing. I mean, this is not news to you or I. We know that we're overtaxed. We know that we're overregulated. We know that we're overgoverned, too much red tape, green tape, all the rest of it. That's not news. What's surprising is to see the Age actually acknowledging that that's the case. What I like,
it must be bad when they're talking about it.
Well, that's right. I don't actually disagree with basically any of the main points that they've made. I would say things differently and frame things differently. And I think there's a few skews in that article, but actually it's a pretty solid article. Like, I'm highly critical when it comes to this stuff. So for me to kind of go, you know what, that's mostly a pass. Is really quite rare. I think it's such an important point to make, though. Our federalist system is really backwards. It's actually really broken. The American federalist system created a situation where the lower the level of the authority, the more directly intimate the decision maker was with the people they're making the decision for, the more decisions they could make. The local sheriff makes decisions that actually trump higher levels of government, and only certain things were given to the federal government, and everything else was reserved to the states. In Australia, we flipped that on its head. And we said only the things that we delegate down to the lower levels belong to the lower levels. And everything, whatever the federal government wants to do, it can do. And it overrides the states whenever it does that. And that's exactly backwards. That is not how it should be at all. It removes the competition, the competitive aspect of federalism, where you can have different jurisdictions trying different rule sets, different taxations, etc. In the US, you've got states will have income taxes or won't. They might have property taxes or they won't. They might have different levels of consumption tax or not have a consumption tax. There's this petri dish of 50 different states that all have radically different regimes and financial systems and spending and taxing, etc. In Australia, pretty much all of the taxing, with the exception of land taxes and payroll taxes, stamp duty, pretty much everything else is federal. So it doesn't change from one state to another. There is no opportunity for a state to try something different and see if it works. They really only are fiddling around at the very, very edges. So we've unfortunately given away most of the potential advantage of a federalist system because we set it up wrong. And what then happens is everyone has an incentive to be more and more bloated. The federal government always wants more money. The states always want more money. They're all kind of competing with each other to consume more. And no one in that melee has an incentive to try and be more efficient, to try and do anything better, etc. They're absolutely right. What I didn't see in that article and what I don't know exists is a solution. What do we do? Okay, we're fucked. Now what?
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so depressing.
Let me bring up this graph, which I had handy because I'm working on a video involving this graph. This is the Australia versus the US GDP per capita. So this is adjusted for the population size. Now, it's important to note this is not in dollars. This is in percentage terms. All right. So I've got another graph where I'll be talking about the actual dollar value of the GDP, but this simply shows you the rate of growth or decline. Now, what happened shortly after COVID that would have caused Australia's GDP per capita to flatline so badly and America's GDP to have continued climbing massively? Now, to be fair, America's GDP was still climbing massively even under Joe Biden, and has continued to do so under Donald Trump. Now, under Donald Trump, their cost of living has spiked because of his tariffs. I've got a video coming out tomorrow exactly that problem. But their GDP per capita, their productivity, their ability to produce is going through the freaking roof. right?
Mm-hmm.
In the space of 15 years, it's climbed 25, nearly 30%. Right, it's climbed 28% in the space of 15 years. Productivity equals quality of life. Producing more GDP per person allows people to live better, to consume more energy, more clothing, more food, or more expensive things. Cars that are harder to make, or clothing that is harder to make. If we produce more on average, we can consume more on average and still not be running out of things. That's why productivity matters. Australia's productivity is flatlining. In fact, I will make the case that this really understates the case. And that, as a matter of fact, from a quality of life perspective, we're back at 2012 levels. And we actually haven't seen pretty much any improvement in our quality of life here in Australia in about 13 years.
Yeah, I see this just in my day-to-day, like whether it's myself personally or my mates or whatever, how we're all just making different choices. And we've shared articles throughout the podcast. That one I think about a couple of weeks ago was Broadsheet asking why people aren't going out for brunch anymore. What killed brunch, right? And as if these don't all correlate to the same thing. Another article today, it was Broadsheet as well. They were talking about why Gen Z doesn't go clubbing. And, and like, not that I care about Gen Z's private lives, but when you actually scratch beneath the surface, they're not going clubbing for a couple of reasons. One, COVID, a lot of these people are socially anxious. Two is chronically online. Most of their lives are in the digital space. And three, it's too freaking expensive. The alcohol taxes make it unaffordable. Now, when I was a kid, which, I'm starting to feel old now, but, back in 2006, 7, 8, back there, we would, can't believe I'm saying this on a podcast, we'd go and get like a bag of Fruity Lexia and some cheap orange juice, make ourselves some, mocktail or cocktails at home, and we'd lace ourselves and then go out and, maybe buy 1 or 2 drinks at the pub. But, like a drink back then was like $7 or something. Now, I almost had a heart attack the other day. A cocktail was like $39. I don't drink, by the way, but I was looking at the menu. I was like, $39 for a drink. And it wasn't a fancy cocktail. And then, a beer, like $17. What Gen Z can afford that and enough to go and have a good time. And so this all sort of rolls into one. Okay, so they're not going out and having a good time, which means they're not socializing, which means they're not dating, they're not meeting people, which means they're unhappy, which means we're not getting babies, which means birth rate's declining, which means productivity is declining. This all ties into one thing. And yet when you have these conversations with people, they pull it all apart and they go, oh, well, it's because it's expensive. I'm like, keep going. Why is it expensive? Like, keep going, and they talk like, I give Gen Z a very hard time, I know, but I actually feel genuinely sad for them.
Yeah. And a lot of mistakes have been made that they're on the receiving end of. I would also argue that they're making a lot of mistakes of their own. In life, none of us get to choose which hand we get dealt. We only get to choose how we then play that hand. And I would argue they're playing it poorly. But yes, they've been dealt a more difficult hand. However, I'm also aware it's 2 hours. We've just hit the 2 hour mark. I'm tired. I had to get up early this morning to take my daughter to get some grommets in her ears, which all went well. But I'm tired and it's been a big day. So let's get through a couple more super chats. And then I'm sorry, Carly, I'm going to have to call it a night because, as we have established, I'm an old man.
Not before I have my opportunity to grift. I've got something exciting to share. So.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get through these. We've got 4 super chats here and then you grift and then we're done. So Catherine says that she can't make the invite work. She's talking about the invite to the Discord. So
I will put it, guys, if you want to join the Discord and you're having trouble, as soon as we finish this live stream, I will go and edit the YouTube video description. I'll put the link in there. I can post the link here, but you can't click it in the comments. So I will post it in, and it will be there from now moving forward. So whenever we post a YouTube video, that Discord link will be there. Now, if you are an OG Oddie, we have to manually upgrade you. So just bear that in mind. G and I work a full-time job. So if we haven't added you, nothing nefarious is going on. We just literally are probably busy because I know a lot of people want things done like this, but just remember we're real humans. There's no bots. It's just us. So give us a break and we'll get to it.
She's lying. She's not a real human.
No, I had a couple of messages of panicked people saying, "Oh, I haven't been accepted." I'm like, I know. Give me a second.
So I have suddenly realized why Clark Kent was never spotted as Superman. Right. So my camera, I'm just going to enlarge my camera here. My camera is a Sony with a really, really nice autofocus system. It's one of their current generation autofocus. It's really, really good. It literally spots your individual eyeball. It can pick out your face in a crowd. You can have a group photo and you can be taking that photo with the Sony camera and it will find your face and focus on you and make sure that you're sharp. Now, so I'm in focus here and you can tell that I'm in focus. The word road is slightly fuzzy. Now watch what happens. Oh no, it did come back to me. Okay. It's trying to make a liar out of me.
I know what you're about to say.
Swear,
Yes.
I swear. Yeah, it starts. Yeah, there. Look, it's taken off me and it's focused on road, and now it's back on me. Now it's back on. So it's clearly, if I was Superman, and I just put on the sunglasses, or put on the reading glasses, all of a sudden I'm Clark Kent, and not even the autofocus can find me anymore. That's incredible. Topher with jar glasses. This is Topher if he was a non-player character in GTA 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that is. All right.
Last bit of housekeeping as well. So this has happened to a couple of people just with Ko-fi. So if you've signed up to have a subscription with Ko-fi, if you haven't verified your email, it boots you off. And also, if it takes out the next subscription and it doesn't work a couple of times, it boots you off. So if any of you guys have gotten an email from Ko-fi saying it's being cancelled, I haven't done it. No one's cancelling you. It's doing it because one of two things. Your email wasn't verified or, unfortunately, your direct debit didn't go through. So just letting you know, I don't make the rules.
So Pro Engineer has let the cat out of the bag here, Carls. I thought I was sending you budget to buy merch of the new design so that we'd be all stocked up for Christmas.
Funneling it.
Turns out that you've actually been buying a new Gulfstream.
What can I pick one up for? A couple grand? Surely.
A couple of thousand. A couple of thousand, yes. Not a couple of thousand, but a couple of thousand.
I reckon jump on Marketplace. I'd be able to bargain. Just haggle it down.
So it's not the cost of acquiring, it's the cost of keeping. So
it's the cost of running.
You know, if you buy, let's say, just a cool $120 million private jet, you're probably paying about $25 million a year to keep that thing flying and fueled and staffed and a pilot on standby so that you can fly whenever you want to, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, not
as
much.
As you said, I'm more than happy to have like the 20-30 mil where I just use that stuff. I don't have to own it.
Yeah. Just when on the rare occasions where you actually genuinely really want or need one, you spend a couple of $100,000. Done. Yeah. All right. CJ's updated us. Arrived safely. By the way, likely a submachine gun, not 3D printed. Yeah, it didn't. When I heard the mechanism going, that sounds like it is properly fabricated metal, steel weapon. Just an incompetent behind the trigger, taking 5 goes to feed around into the chamber. Yeah, and it didn't even seem like he had duds. It didn't even seem like he had squib rounds. It just seemed like he actually didn't know what he was doing. But anyway, hang on. I just went and swiped and made everything disappear off my screen. There we go. And last super chat of the night, unless a few more come in while we're winding up. Thoughts on the financial mismanagement in Victoria? Are we cooked? Yes. I left 2.5 years ago. I don't know why you haven't yet. Is it too late to turn things around? Technically, no, but I do not believe that the people of Victoria will have the will to turn it around anytime in the next 2 to 3 decades. Can we survive another Labor term? Physically, yes. Mentally, you tell me.
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, I hate saying this. I want to be wrong. It's just not bad enough. It's that simple. In Victoria, it's just not bad. And also, so many young voters are enamored with socialism. They want it. They want a Zohan Memdani. They want to see it with their own eyes. And you can't fix stupid, can you?
You can beat it around the head a few times, but then you get in trouble. So, yeah. All right, now grift away and then we'll wind up.
All right. So, you know how I'm big champion of AI, right? Big fan of AI.
Yes.
I honestly do believe, and like, you know, guys, you don't have to take my word for it, but just based on what I've discovered the last 18 months and how many different tools I've been implementing, I'll give you an example. I'm building your website, right? And there's a lot of things that are just outside my knowledge. I'm not a web developer. I can build a Squarespace website like that.
And to
I can
be
build
clear,
a Shopify.
just so that everyone knows, you were upfront about that. We knew that going in, and we literally talked about it. And I said, Carly, I would rather get you to do everything because you're an amazing photographer. You're an amazing graphic designer. You're so good at all this other stuff. Rather than bringing in an outside web developer, I would rather tolerate you having to muck around a little bit and maybe some delays and whatever, and just keep it all with you. So just for anyone that's wondering, Carly didn't sell me a bill of goods. It's all good. And she is working through the challenges.
Right. So I found a platform, all that sort of stuff, but it's just, honestly, it's just outside my scope. And I'm learning, but the learning curve is like this, right? Like it's steep. But what I've done is download the ChatGPT browser, and I open up the web development platform in that browser, and ChatGPT is beside me. And if it weren't for that, you wouldn't have a website. Honestly, I am using...
Sorry. Hold up.
Yeah, you got to pay ChatGPT.
Hold up. I could have had ChatGPT build me this damn website.
Unfortunately, no, I still have to manually click the button. So you still need the human. No, but
oh man.
So where I'm getting stuck on things is the coding. So I'm doing things, but I'm accidentally breaking things and not realizing because I've moved something out of its like little box, or you know, the animation.
It's like Microsoft Word. It's like I've tried to do websites multiple times in my life. My brain does not work that way. But it's like Microsoft Word. You move that picture one line up, and everything just goes like full.
That's exactly what it is.
Yes.
So
I'm
a graphic designer. I'm used to Photoshop and Illustrator where I can literally drag it where I want. With this one, it's all CSS and it's all coded. And I saw someone say they're a web developer. If anyone speaks Webflow, shoot me an email because I'm getting there. It's just, like I said, steep learning curve. But anyway, my case for AI is AI through the ChatGPT browser. It's taking screenshots of your screen, which, you know, be careful what you put on there. But obviously, I'm doing a website. So, and I say, hey, I'm stuck here. What have I broken? And it will read the screenshot and it will tell me, click here, do this, go there. And so it's literally like I've got someone tutoring me as I'm going through. That's just one example. There are so many AI tools that I think are wonderful. And I've just been sharing a bit of this on my Instagram stories and with people I know. And the amount of people have said, how are you doing this? Can you please teach me? What are you doing? And the reason I'm such a big supporter of AI is I honestly think that for those of us in Australia who are seeing our, our quality of life decline and are struggling under the cost of living crisis, there are so many new avenues that you can add to your repertoire to help you become maybe more of a freelancer, so you can command more prices and you can be more productive. Because I can see that already. Like, I mean, yes, I've got my skill set, but all of these tools available for me are helping me do things that I never would have thought I could do before, and it's speeding me up so that I'm becoming more profitable. I can take on more work and do more. And anyway, so long story short, I decided to put it out to people. I said, hey, if you want a masterclass on what tools are available, how they work, how you can use them, how you can implement them, I will do it. And I had a huge reaction to it. And I put this live today, and I have already over 100 and something people sign up, which is amazing.
Wow.
So I just thought, if anyone's interested, this is an overview. If you are new to AI, or if you're still using AI, but you're not sure what's available outside, say, ChatGPT, I've built this masterclass. It's 90 minutes, but let's be honest, it's me, so it'll probably be 2 hours. You can either join on it live, or you can watch the replay. You don't have to be there live. And essentially, I'm going to take you through how you can use it, what you can implement, how it can help you across productivity, across admin, across creativity. And I'm just going to show you guys all the tools and all the different things that you can do. And this quote is one from my thesis. The future belongs to the minds who imagine faster than the world can limit them. And I honestly do believe that's what AI is all about. So if anyone's interested, if you want to join the masterclass, it's in 2 weeks' time. It's $99. I don't do things like this often, but I feel like this one's going to be fun. You can jump on the website. So by the way, this is just carlsjsoda.com, and you'll see the link in the thing to go to the AI masterclass. if anyone's interested, you want to learn about AI, it's all there. All the information's there. There's frequently asked questions at the bottom of the page for anyone that wants to ask any questions. It's there. And yeah, if you want to jump on, you can do that. I'll put the link in the video description. But
yeah. Put the link down now in the chat, and then add it to the video description later. Guys, you know that Carly loves what she does. You know that she's serious about offering value. So I don't have a dog in this fight. This isn't my course. I'm not getting a cut for marketing or anything like that. But guys, number one, you know you're going to get great value. Number two, you know that Carl's someone worth supporting. So I would highly suggest you get on this. And in fact, Carl's, I will make time to be on it as well. I'm not sure if I'll be able to be there live. I'll have a look at when it is. But I'm going to jump on board. Excuse me. I'm going to jump on board as well.
Yeah, I think it's worthwhile for people to get on board, because obviously the big corporations are going to use this stuff already. But imagine if you had extra tools in your toolkit to be able to go out there and be a little bit more dynamic with the way that you approach the workforce, right? Like there's so many different things that you can use this for. And what I'm really hoping to achieve in this masterclass is just to get people be a bit more optimistic about AI. Look what's possible. Look what's possible outside of like using ChatGPT to write you some AI slop. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And to be clear, not just what's possible, look what you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
lovely. All right.
Anyway,
we need to wind up. I'm yawning. I'm out of here. I'm done. Another good show. We will see everyone on Wednesday night. Don't forget, go to goodpeoplebreakbadlaws.com, and where is it? There. Buy my book, damn it. All right. Don't forget, there's 5 designs going out of print in just a week and a half's time on the 30th of November. At this point in time, there are no plans to bring any of those designs back. Some of the ideas will come back in other forms, but those designs are done. So make sure that if you want one, you get one.
And also, guys, again, if you want to join the Discord, I will put all the links in the video description as soon as we've jumped off to live. I can't edit it while we're live. So more than happy to pop it in there, and look forward to chatting to you in there.
Cool. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.